recording because we're making the, what's the word? The stamp tool? I'm not sure what to call it, but this is my stamp tool over here. It's a troll face. And I click it, I can drag troll faces or just stamp troll faces wherever I want. And I can even increase the size. I didn't intend this for this, but it's actually pretty easy to make a troll face that sort of increases. It gets a little bit stupid small down here, so I'm not sure what to do about that. But, you know, you can have some fun with different sized trolls all over the place. Here we go. This is the large trolls here. And then the pen still works. If I click on one of the colors, like white, for example, I'll do black so I can give him a mustachio. I feel like there should be some Italian music playing or something. I don't know why. He's got some hair. Oh, yeah, there we go. I'm not sure what I'm doing here, but it's beautiful and terrible to behold. So how do you make, like, well, I guess there's, like, two things going on. How do you get the picture to be drawn where the mouse is, like the picture of the troll face or whatever your stamp is? But there's a more fundamental question, and that is, how do you get sort of two different actions attached to the mouse? Because depending on whether we click on the stamp tool or whether we click on the colors, there's sort of two different actions. So how do you tell processing, to select one or another action? Because it's still clicking the mouse, like when I had a different thing. So it's got to be kind of aware of the choice that you've made. Does anyone have an idea how we might do that? Yeah, Bren. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you can have a variable that keeps track of what type of tool you're using. And just imagine in Photoshop, how many tools are there? Anyone who took IT last year will know. If you haven't, you can just imagine world-class editing software would have many, many tools. Probably just some kind of int that keeps track of like what tool you're on. Move tool, number 1. Clone stamp tool, number 3. Like it's all sorts of different sort of integers attached to that. Later on, we'll see how we can give names to those things. But just to keep it simple, there's only 2 tools. So I'm just going to use 0 and 1 to represent which tools we're using. And actually, I have all the code sort of written out. What do you guys think? What's the better way to go? Would you like to code it kind of at the same time as I code it? Or would you like to just see it and just think about it and then try to do it yourself? What's the going preference here? Any preference? So option 1 is just show me what's going on, give me the rundown, and then I'll try and do it. Option 2 is more of a let's do it together type of approach. So how many people would like the sort of the first option, show it to me, and then let me try? And how many people would like to do the let's do it together approach? And I assume everybody else is it looks like everyone's sort of in the middle zone there. So I guess I'm going to do it with you. So I'm going to close this and just delete things quickly. The people watching this YouTube video are like, what is going on? Is this can I vote in this channel or something? What's the story? Yeah, it's live stream. There's like a voting bot. Oh, man. Somebody's very confused. Mocha Lux, if you're out there. Mocha Lux, we love you. Mocha Lux, we adore you, and we're sorry you can't vote. Give me 1 second here. Da-da-da. Just going to delete a few things. If you're watching on YouTube, you're going to get like a reverse lesson as you watch me delete the things that are going to be important for this lesson. Let's see, does that work? Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, I think it works. I mean, I think it doesn't work now. Okay, let's do it. Thanks for waiting, folks. Okay, so here's the story. Your program will probably look quite a bit different than mine at this point. So the lessons are going to get a little bit more challenging in the sense that you're going to see what I'm doing, but it's going to be considerably different than perhaps what you're doing, although the same structures will still be there, and that's just part of learning to code better and being able to read code better. I'll do my best to tell you where I am in the program. And if you're not sure, please ask. You could just say, Mr. Pelche, hold on a sec. Where are we again? Definitely all good questions. So here we go. We are checking out our program. I only have a couple buttons. Here's my setup. Here's my draw. I got my slider stuff happening. And here's my mouse pressed. I have my slider mouse press stuff. And then I have my drawing the pen stuff. I have this set up with if mouse X is greater than 100. And that's just so I don't draw when I'm on my toolbar. It's not really super important, so don't worry too much about that. But this is my mouse press. This is me drawing my squiggly line. This is me like adjusting my slider when I press the mouse. And then I have all my tool buttons, including the troll face one. And I have mouse release for registering if I've clicked on a button. So hopefully that little tour of my program orients you a bit within my code, and hopefully you can kind of map that to where you are in your code. So first of all, I'm going to create a new variable. And maybe you're starting to get the feel of where that goes now. Where do we put new variables? At the top, yeah, you got it. So I'm going to make a variable. It's going to be called tool. And it's going to represent what tool have I currently selected. And this could expand to additional tools. So you're supposed to have 2 stamps, by the way. So right now I only have 1 stamp. But you can make an additional value for tool for your second stamp and so on. And then I'm going to give tool a default value. It's going to be 0. And I'm going to make it so that when tool is 0, it draws pen marks. Sound good? That's what tool 0 means. I'll even make a comment. 0 means pen. 1 means troll face stamp. And you might have a third one. Maybe 2 is going to mean something for you. Peppa Pig. I've been enjoying the Peppa Pig projects. Very nice. You know, whatever the other stamp is. Like, just make a little dictionary for yourself of like what the different numbers mean. Might be helpful. All right. So I got my variable now. So how does this work? So I can make an if statement based on that variable to decide what is it that I do. Do I draw the stamp or do I draw the pen? So I'm going to go down to that part of the code where I do my pen drawing stuff. So follow me in my code. Here I go. Traveling down to this part here. You know the P mouse X, P mouse Y, mouse X, mouse Y. That's where I draw my line. It's when you might have it with just the if mouse pressed, like right nestled up beside it there. I'm not too sure what yours looks like. That's what I did just now. So if you have that somewhere, then you can add in additional if statements. And I'm actually going to just turn this off for a second. I'm just going to say if tool equals 0. There it is. I've just changed it so that I'm going to draw this pen stuff, this line stuff, if tool equals 0. Sorry, it's moving around so much. All right? And if tool equals 1, that's going to be my troll face. Check it out. I'm going to say if tool equals 1, then I'm going to draw my stamp. So I'm going to do, instead of line, I'm going to do image. And I'll do troll face, mouse X, mouse Y. And I didn't actually resize my troll face picture. You guys probably did resize, right, for your troll face? I'm going to use a different thing slightly. I'm going to add in, like normally you would just stop right there. And if you resized your picture, it's ready to go. I'm actually going to put in 2 more parameters here. It's going to be the size. It'll sort of scale it live. So it'll be the size, the width and height of my picture I'm going to draw. So I'll just do 200 by 200. So that's like resizing it on the fly, which takes up more system resources. So not necessarily good. So check it out. There's my if statement, or my pair of if statements. But this is all within the context of if mouse pressed. I think just to make that really clear, I'm going to bring that down and show you that both of these if statements are inside of if mouse pressed. You guys see that? Like both of those if statements are inside of the if mouse pressed. So if one is outside, then it won't really do anything when you press the mouse. So just constantly do it. So check that out. And the way you can tell that, by the way, is pressing Control T. You press Control T and you get both of these if statements indented, one level in from this if statement, then you know you did it correctly. How do you guys feel about that? Is that good so far? I'll give you guys a second just to think about that and type it down. So it used to just be this is what would happen if mouse pressed. But now I have if tool is 0, do this, and if tool is 1, do something else. And both of these if statements are inside of if mouse pressed. All right, so I'm going to go run this and see what happens. So right now, what's tool set to? It's set to 0, so we expect to see lines drawn. So I'm going to run it. Whoops, I put an extra brace in here. Sorry. Try again. Run it. So I do, in fact, see lines. And now I'm going to go back, and I'm going to change tool to be 1. I'm just manually changing the value of the variable just to test if this works. So now I'll go ahead and run it, and I'll click and drag, and I get faces instead. You guys see how that works? Or why that works? It's all about that tool variable. So an int can be more than just a quantity keeping track of things. It can also represent what you've selected. I am certain that in any video game where you can make selections, they're just ints. When you pick Tracer in Overwatch, what int is Tracer? I don't know, but they probably have one, and that way you can kind of like, just know what that number is. I'm sure it's that simple or that complicated, depending on how you're doing with this. So there it is. That's how I'm getting it to sort of pick. We're not quite done, though, because we'd like to make it so that when we click on the buttons, it will change it. We don't have to open up our source code and change our program every time we want to change the tools. So how is it, and I'll ask you guys can give me some ideas, or just think about it right now. How is it that I can make these buttons, when I click these buttons, it turns it into a pen, and when I click this button, it turns it into face drawing? Does anybody have an idea how we might do that? What additional code do we have to add to the clicking buttons in order to make them choose a tool? Thanks, Victoria.
If the button for the pen is clicked, you can set the tool as
Yeah, so we could just set the tool variable when we click the buttons to the right number. So take a look. Here's my lovely button clicking code. Pen color equals white when I click on the white button. Pen color equals black when I click on the black button. Well, you know what else I could do? I could also say tool equals 0 inside of these if statements. Because I want to draw with the pen when I click on black or white. Yeah? Look good? Yeah. And when I click on the icon for the troll face, I didn't write that code in. I'll just do that really quickly. If dist, I think it's 5450 is the center of it. Oh, I'll get it one of these times. There we go. And mouse X. I don't know what the size of my picture is. I'll just say less than 35. Just a guess. So how is it that I turn on the face drawing thing, the stamp? I can just say tool equals 1. And by setting tool to 1, I sort of turn off that if statement that would normally draw pen lines. And I turn on the if statement that draws faces. So this is in my mouse release function where I make my buttons do things when I click on them. I can also manage that tool variable. So I'm going to go ahead and run that, and we'll see now. I'm going to click on that, and I get lines. I click on white, I get lines. I click on troll face, and I get troll faces. And I can go back and click on lines and get lines again. It's really just changing an integer from 0 to 1 or 1 to 0. But that acts almost like a switch or a dial that you could click to, like turn to and choose a tool. If you had another picture, say Peppa Pig down here, so you could click on Peppa and draw Peppas all over the place, then Peppa could be represented by number 2. And you could set your tool value to 2 and have another if statement to say if tool equals 2, draw the image function with Peppa instead of troll face. And that would be a way you can make that work really nicely. There's a couple things we'll do to just tidy this up. I guess one thing is, notice that when I draw the troll face and I go to click on buttons, it's drawing the troll face. Like I can't not seem to click on, if I try to look at the troll face as I move the slider. Oh, so bad. So how can we fix that? Did anybody fix that anywhere in the class where you don't draw when you're in your toolbar? It's okay if you did. This is maybe complex. So what you can do is, in your draw function, this is all the stuff for drawing your squiggly line. So you can say if, I guess it's getting a little bit annoying, right? You kind of want to say if mouse pressed and you're not on the toolbar. So how do you say and in processing? It is, you wish it was and. Why is it not and? Why is it not and? It's not. It's 2 ampersands. It's shift 7. That means and. And you can say if mouse pressed and, say mouse X is greater than 100. For me, with my toolbar on the left, I'll only draw things now if mouse X is greater than 100. So in other words, not on my toolbar. So it's got to have 2 things be true now. I have to be pressing the mouse, and the mouse has to be in the right place. This is not necessarily essential, but I think a lot of people want to do that. So notice now if I click on the troll face, and I'm moving my slider up and down, I'm not drawing troll faces even though that's selected. Because right now the mouse is not, mouse X position is not greater than 100. Yeah, sound good? Just something to throw in there. And then, let's see. Oh yeah, what about making the troll face change size when you move the slider? It actually turns out to be not that hard if you're doing it the way I'm doing it. So here's my troll face. I've just sort of set it to a particular size. Here's where I set the size. It's in these extra 2 parameters. These are optional parameters that set the width and the height. But what if you put thickness in there instead? Instead of putting 200, if I put thickness. 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 Well, thickness is pretty small number. So the troll faces will be really tiny. So that's not great. What if I didn't want to mess around with the range too much, but I still wanted bigger troll faces? Well, I could just say thickness times 10. Like that. That might be a good way to do it. So I can just stick those parameters on the end. This is entirely optional. You don't have to worry about that. But I already got this variable already setting thickness. Well, I guess that's going to be pretty big. 10 times 10 might be a little too big. Or maybe it's just perfect. Yeah, I don't know. You guys can be the deciding judges on that. Here we go. Here's my amazing meme picture. Ready for it? Bring the slider down. Wait. Oh, no, I failed. Try again. I want to make it so that the eyes of the troll face are smaller troll faces. Oh, nailed it. There you go. You can have fun with that. That's entirely optional, but a fun thing to do nonetheless. Well, folks, any questions that you guys got right now? Yeah, some questions about this or about other things? About other things, no problem. So I'll leave it at this, and I'm hoping next time you guys will have some questions for me. Today, no questions, but check that out on YouTube if you want to watch it again. I'll press stop, and we'll upload.